Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video.
Today I recap the series The War Between the Land and the Sea. It is a science fiction story from the Doctor Who universe. The series follows UNIT as they face a new global threat.
Ancient sea creatures return from the depths of the ocean. They call themselves Homo Aqua.
Homo Aqua believes the oceans were stolen by humanity. They attack ships and naval bases across the world. UNIT tries to stop a war between land and sea, but one mistake turns the conflict into global war. This is the war between the land and the sea.
So, grab your popcorn, turn off the lights, and enjoy my quick recap to save your precious time.
Trash was falling from the sky as if it were raining garbage, and it was pouring down all over the city with people screaming and running around on the streets. But the shocking thing was that the Titanic, which had been sunk in the sea for 114 years, suddenly appeared on the street. Why was all this happening? So the story begins. The sea was calm after an ordinary storm, and a fisherman, after drinking water, threw a plastic bottle into the sea. And as soon as the fishing net was pulled up, a terrifying scream was heard. It seemed as if some creature was trapped in the net and panicked, and then the scene changes to a village where a team of trained military personnel arrives. After a lot of investigation, they finally see the thing they were sent for. That mysterious creature which the fishermen had already seen. They thought they could make money by killing it, so they brought the corpse to the village. The army was very interested in this deep-sea monster. In old stories, it is called a sea demon. It is said to be the most powerful creature in the world. This creature is called the water demon, or Jaldanav. This didn't surprise the army much until they found a pearl beneath the demon. This was not a natural pearl, but rather it was made to look like a video recording device. For thousands of years, only humans have been able to do something like this. It's clear that this water demon is quite intelligent. The Black Commander considered this a new discovery and ordered a deep scan of the creature, and then everyone left the area. Only Buckley stayed behind, standing near the water demon and silently praying. After all, it was still a life that had been lost. Later, Buckley and the others brought important equipment and reached the sea. Buckley requested permission to search the sea so that he could make contact with this intelligent aquatic creature. At night, the soldiers guarding the water demon's corpse were talking when suddenly they felt something strange. The ground beneath them softened and turned into something like a swamp. The female soldier couldn't keep her balance and half of her body sank into the swamp. Her companion tried to help, but a black hand pulled him into the swamp. Then a jet of water shot up, and a shadowy black creature appeared, picked up the water demon's corpse, and just then the alarm sounded, and all the soldiers rushed to the spot. But they saw that the water demon's corpse and 2 guards were missing, and now the swamp had returned to its original state. But Buckley looked at the ground, pulled out a chair from the soil, and when the commander cleared away the dirt from the floor, he saw a hand. Seeing all this, Buckley got scared and went to sit by the seashore. This was his first real encounter, and he couldn't shake off his fear. The commander was also perplexed, because they were all part of the United Nations Special Intelligence Force, trained to deal with mysterious incidents that couldn't be explained scientifically. Then Buckley told the commander that he was actually just an ordinary government employee who was supposed to be sent. He was on leave, so Buckley was sent in his place out of necessity, which is how his name ended up on this mission. That's why he was put to work here, and he had never received any military training. And he was absolutely unprepared for such dangerous situations. But the commander said that history is made up of countless accidents and major events often happen in the presence of ordinary people. Buckley wanted to leave, but he stayed seated out of fear. At that moment, the female captain explained that this water monster was not actually a dead animal, but rather a species that ruled the earth before humans. They had been under the sea for thousands of years, and for some unknown reason, their appearances had recently increased. The special forces already knew about these aquatic beings, but they had kept it a secret. In a way, if this race of water monsters had never gone extinct, perhaps humans would never have become the masters of the earth. Just then, they suddenly heard the voices of their companions, and it became clear that a water monster had emerged outside. All the soldiers became alert. Buckley took out the camera and started recording. The tension between the two sides was rising when the commander stepped forward, put down his weapon, activated the translator machine, and tried to start a conversation. The water monster was making strange sounds from its throat, and the machine translated that it was taking revenge on the humans for killing its companion, saying, "You killed us." Then the commander replied that the water monster had also killed 2 soldiers, so now they were even and a conversation could take place. Hearing this, the water monster became even angrier, and just then, alarms started ringing on everyone's phones and water monsters began appearing all over the world. It seemed as if they were returning for the comeback of their king, as if they were the true owners of this earth. Their presence caused a commotion throughout the world. Britain was the first to take action, and within just a few days they built a large water tube inside one of their buildings connected to a river where the first official meeting between humans and water monsters was to take place. The commander of the United Intelligence Force was chosen as the main representative for this dialogue. Even though he did not belong to any one country, he was representing the entire Earth. Before the meeting, a technician filled the pipe with water. Surveillance cameras showed that several water monsters were entering the pipe. They looked at each other, and then 2 massive bodies appeared. Finally, a water monster appeared who looked quite human. His face was also full of emotions. It was clear that they were extremely intelligent. They could stay outside without breathing in water, which means they can live both on land and in the sea. The meeting began, and the human representative, Dr. Jonathan, welcomed them. But the water monster representative interrupted him and started speaking directly in human language. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. Jonathan presented them with a gift, freshly scented snow from Mount Everest. But the water monster representative angrily showed his own gift. They were small creatures that had died because of human waste and pollution. Dr. Jonathan explained that humans are now cleaning the oceans, but the water monster refused to talk. Then he pointed towards Buckley. Everyone sitting behind turned to look at him, and on the screen, the scene of Buckley praying in front of the dead monster was playing. The water monster said that he is the one who honors the dead. He is worthy of speaking to them on behalf of humanity. Buckley couldn't believe that an ordinary government employee had now become the chief representative in the eyes of the whole world. This worried the chief commander, fearing that a single mistake by Buckley could start a war. But the water monsters were adamant. They wanted to hear what Buckley had to say. Buckley said that he does not consider himself the representative of all humanity. But the water monster said that the world should know that even an ordinary person has a voice. But Kate could not allow such a huge risk. So the next day, only 50 journalists were allowed inside and they were permitted to take photographs. But live telecast was completely prohibited. Buckley was repeatedly instructed to read only what was written on the screen, exactly as it was. He was told not to add any extra comments of any kind. As soon as the giant pipe was filled with water again, the water people arrived on time. Buckley was much calmer than last time, and he greeted everyone very naturally while looking at the teleprompter. Just as he was about to read the first demand from the human side, the water demon stopped him and asked for a glass of water, specifically stating that the water should be brought from the river. So immediately a team of soldiers went to the river, and in no time a glass filled with murky yellowish river water was handed to Buckley. The water demon then made his next demand. Buckley would have to drink this water. Seeing the yellow particles floating in the glass, Buckley's face fell, and just then, a voice came through Buckley's earpiece instructing him to tell the water demon that the water should be cleaned before drinking, and then to start discussing the issue of pollution. But the water demon interrupted again, saying that he didn't want to hear politician-like talk, and that Buckley shouldn't be operated like a puppet. Buckley was silent for a few moments, then finally he made up his mind. He took off his earpiece and began to speak from his heart. He said that humans are very foolish and selfish. For a little bit of profit, they are pushing the earth towards destruction. And even now, while both species are in talks, countless factories are dumping toxic waste into rivers and oceans. Hearing his honest words, the water demon praised him greatly. Buckley understood that he had given an excellent performance. But as soon as he looked back, the entire hall had fallen completely silent, and the discussion had to be stopped immediately. Buckley's truthful words had, unknowingly, put humanity in a very difficult situation. Then they began to study the structure of the aquatic creatures' bodies. Even the water eggs were not spared here. Everyone already knew that the water species could share information with their entire kind within moments. Kate suspected that the pearls present on the bodies of the aquatic creatures played an important role in this. It was clear that many unknown things were hidden within this species, but it was just as important to keep the conversation between the two species going. This time, the human side took the initiative. Buckley promised that by 2065, pollution would be reduced by 50%, and after that, improvements would happen even faster. But to the water giant, this seemed far too slow. He said that every day, many of his companions were dying because of the poor environment, and they could not wait 40 years. Buckley explained that improving the environment requires resources and manpower, which isn't possible immediately. But the water giant questioned whether human leaders truly had the will to improve the environment. Buckley was about to say something when the water giant suddenly looked up, and in an instant, all the lights in the city went out. People thought that perhaps a terrible storm was about to come, but it didn't rain. Instead, plastic bags, bottles, cans, and torn nets started pouring down from the sky. It was like a rain of marine garbage. The whole city went mad with panic. People standing outside started running away, screaming. No one could understand how the trash thrown into the sea and suddenly ended up over the city. In less than half an hour, the clean streets were covered with thick layers of garbage, and the entire city turned into a dump. And the most astonishing thing of all, the wreckage of the Titanic, which had been lying at the bottom of the sea for over a century, suddenly appeared right in the middle of New York. As the major cities of the world came to a standstill, leaders from every country began making statements and called for unity to face the greatest crisis in human history. After some time and several attempts, communication between humans and the water beings resumed. The statements from the goat were once again extremely official in tone. He appealed to the water giant to remain calm and composed, saying that any action taken in haste would be disastrous for both sides. The water giant responded sharply, saying that all of this was caused by humans. Buckley controlled his anger, and an order from Kate came through on the teleprimer. They had to persuade the water beings to sign the ceasefire agreement. Humans do not wish to go to war with any species. The water giant nodded and said that they would not trouble humans like that again. But 3 conditions would have to be met. First, pollution in the seas and rivers must be stopped immediately. Second, the boundaries for where humans and the water beings can live must be officially established. Humans thought that the ocean was vast. Giving a small part of it to the water beings wouldn't be difficult. But the representative of the water beings said that the entire ocean and all the rivers would belong completely to their kind. And not only would humans be forbidden from traveling in the sea, but even flying over the maritime area would be prohibited. As soon as they heard this, everyone was outraged, especially those countries that rely on maritime trade for survival. The closure of sea and air routes meant a death sentence for them. Hearing this, the water spirit shouted loudly and the entire hall fell silent. Then Buckley immediately began to apologize and explained that people had just gotten a little agitated. The representative of water said that so far he had only stated 2 conditions, and now listen to the third. He despises this steel and concrete building. And next time, he will decide where the talks will take place. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the location written on the screen. It was one of the deepest ocean trenches on Earth, the most advanced of humans. Even the most advanced submarines can only reach half its depth. When the water giant asked whether the human side accepted or not, Buckley unknowingly said yes. This was the war between. Thank you for watching the complete summary of the first 2 episodes. See you again in the next episode. Thank you. Please subscribe.